Hey everyone, welcome to the Coding Zoo. This is our CSS Building Blocks Series. If this is your first time joining, my name is Shane, and today's lesson, I believe, is lesson number 9. We are going to cover how to use your overflow property, what it is, and how you can use it to maintain your content within a given block element. I hope that interests you. If so, hey, stick around. We're going to jump right in. All right, hey, so on my desktop, I have a index.html file here. I've got my basic doc type, my HTML element, my head. I've created this little divide, this little div here, and I've added this fake text in the middle, and I've given an ID of overflow example. So let's take a look at this div. I went ahead and prepared this code for us so we can make this lesson a little bit quicker for you. However, I do recommend that you actually copy the code, play around with it, type the code out so that you can get used to the syntax, and it'll stick more in your head if you actually do it along with me or afterwards instead of just watching. So definitely recommend that you actually get into it and do some coding. That's the quickest way to learn. Okay, hey, so let's check out the styles property. Right now I've got this ID or name selector, overflow example. I'm setting this div to a height of 150 pixels, padding the inside spacing 5 pixels. I've got a black border around it, and then there's this overflow property that we're going to go over in this lesson. So there's different values you can use for overflow. The default value is visible. So by not having an overflow value here, it would be the same as typing in this value, visible. So I'm going to erase that. Let's save everything, and let's see what this page looks like. So I should have it already here in my browser somewhere. There we go. All right, so this is the page. Click refresh. So this is the page. This is the div. It's set to a certain size. Now this page is kind of somewhat responsive, right? So if I do this, you'll notice the div kind of squeezes tighter there, right? What happens to the text? Well, when it's defaulted to visible or set explicitly to visible, the text that's in that div stays visible. It stays on the screen, and it goes outside of your div. It's now outside of that div that text belongs to, that paragraph belongs to. So this paragraph, this text, content belongs to this div, but now it's actually displaying outside of it because of the way I did the browser here, the way I changed it. So what can you do in these cases? How do you make these things, that looks kind of ugly. What would you do to make it look better? Well, it depends on your use case, depends on what you're doing. If this was text, you didn't really mind if it was some kind of content, you didn't mind if you saw all of it or not, if it got smaller, then you could do something like this. You can set the overflow to hidden. Let's try that out. All right, so I'm going to set it to hidden, save it. Go here and click refresh. Now let's move it and see what happens. Now notice how the text starts to hide underneath there. Can't actually see it. It's kind of gone, right? Now, in most cases, that's probably not what you need. It's not suitable. So what are your other options? Well, another option is to specify scroll. So I'm going to specify scroll, and let's go back here. Let's make it wide again. I'm going to click refresh, and you'll notice now that it has scroll bars. Even though the text fits, it has these horizontal and vertical scroll bars. I'm actually pointing at the screen here. You can't see that, can you? Here, let me use the mouse. So it actually has this horizontal and vertical scroll bar, right? And that's even if the text isn't outside of the div. So that's kind of makes it a little ugly a little bit, right? Because you don't always need the scroll bar. Why show it if you don't need it? But when you do need it, like right here, you can go in here and just scroll down and read the text, right? The user can actually read it. Now, if this had a set width you could actually use this horizontal scroll bar to scroll back and forth also. So that's one way of doing it, but maybe I don't want the scroll bar if it fits, right? So another way of doing this is specify auto. So auto basically tells it, use what you need. If it fits, just make it visible, make it shown, and if you start getting smaller and smaller, then move over to scroll mode. So let's go back to it. Let's click refresh, and you'll notice the scroll bars went away. If I move it a little bit, there we go. The scroll bar came back. Now you'll notice it only gave me this vertical scroll bar because I only need to scroll up and down. If this had like a set width, it would give me the horizontal scroll bar also in the auto mode. It gives you what you need. It's automatic, basically. So there are your main values that you can use with the overflow. There's visible, that's the default. There's auto, it gives you what you need. That's probably the most used. And there's hidden, which basically just hides the text. The content doesn't matter if the user sees it all. I rarely use that one. And then there's scroll, which puts a scroll bar no matter what. The scroll bar is always there. So now what if I wanted to specifically say, hey, I just want a scroll bar horizontal. I don't want to decide for me. I know what I want. I want to have a particular scroll bar that's not horizontal, but vertical, let's say. So another way of specifying overflow is basically overflow-x, which is horizontal, and y for vertical. So I'm going to do overflow-y. I'm going to put a scroll. Better put an R there because I'm pretty sure there's no such thing as a skull. So scroll, save it, go over here, click refresh. And I basically just said, hey, for the vertical, I definitely want a scroll bar. Go ahead and put it on there. And of course, I could do the same for horizontal. Save that. And now I have one horizontal. And of course, you could specify both. So one horizontal and one vertical. So you have the overflow property. It has the different values of scroll, hidden, auto, and visible, and you have the overflow-x and overflow-y properties. And that's pretty much it. That is your overflow CSS property. You definitely need to get used to using it and when to use it, because as you move things around and situate things on your page, and you make them work with different size monitors and with your phone, you want to specify those things. You want to specify how the content acts at a certain width, a certain height, all that good stuff. So this is probably one of the first things you should definitely get used to, of learning when and how to use this. I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, leave me a message below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Hopefully this was helpful for you. It's fun stuff. I love getting into CSS. I love actually learning CSS and how to change the display of your HTML page. It's pretty fun stuff to me. I hope it's fun for you. If so, hey, click that like button. If you didn't like the video, click dislike. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click subscribe. We've got some great videos coming out. We have another drawing coming out for a laptop and other goodies. Stick around. I hope to see you in the future. I hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye.